This budget makes specific recommendations for capturing $910 million in recurring revenues for appropriations that will help fund core services next year and every year in the future. Of that $910 million, my budget proposes $181.6 million to come from a personal consumption tax on cigarettes. Smoking is Oklahoma's leading cause of preventable death, and it costs our state $1.6 billion in related health care costs each year. I will tell you, though, that our smoking rate has declined 19% since I took office, but 1 in 5 Oklahomans still smokes. This is the most important thing we can do to improve Oklahoma's overall health ranking. And I know we all want that. Thank you, Doctor. I got one person with guts in the room. Beyond that proposal, my budget has $729 million in overall revenues for appropriations. I'm offering bold, specific solutions to fix our budget. And here they are. $125 million to come from non-appropriated agency revenue sharing. Some non-appropriated agencies remit a portion of their fees or fines and other revenues back to the General Revenue Fund for appropriations, and others do not. $19.7 million a year by eliminating non-statutory, non-critical pass-through appropriations. $125 million a year by passing Representative Tom Newell's legislation, automating reconciliation of some agency revolving funds, which usually contain about $1.5 billion. This transfer of monies from these accounts is often mischaracterized as one-time revenue, despite the fact the majority of these accounts replenish each year. These are funds that are not really one-time funds, as evidenced by a chart I'm going to show you on the right. Gentlemen, you can see starting back from previous years in 2011 how these funds replenish year after year. This is a structural change to our budget. Next proposal is $40 million a year by reallocating apportionments back to the General Revenue Fund that currently go to noble but non-critical functions. Remember, just a few years ago, 55 cents of every dollar we collected went to the General Revenue Fund. Today, just 45 cents of every dollar collected goes there, and it is continuing to decline. You can see this on the chart in front of me. You see what it looks like. And finally, $200 million a year by modernizing our state sales and use tax exemptions. We talk about it every year. Let's do something this year. The sales tax code in Oklahoma today isn't much different than it was in 1980, despite huge changes in the way we do commerce and the way it's conducted and the way consumers purchase goods and services. Reading our sales tax code is like watching a movie on a VHS tape when you can use Netflix. Some of you older ones may not know what that means, but my children have taught me what that means. Modernizing the sales tax code means keeping the same low rates and applying them in ways that better reflect today's commerce and consumer behaviors. We can start by taking a look at the $8 billion, that's billion with a B, in the annual sales tax exemptions. Told you we're going to have some hard talk today. We're going to get realistic. We exempt more in state sales tax than we appropriate each session. You can see that on the chart on my left. It shows our total budget, 6.9, over $8 billion. that is in our sales tax exemptions. Now, we've asked around, can anybody remember any of these ever getting repealed, let alone reviewed? Surely some of that $8 billion can be revisited. Let me just tell you, if we took just 1% of the $8 billion, that would net us $80 million more to go to core government services. This budget proposal also includes eliminating outdated exemptions and looking at areas in other states that apply sales tax that aren't subject to sales tax in Oklahoma. Texas, for example, their sales tax covers roughly 60 more categories than Oklahoma's. New Mexico's sales tax covers 130 more categories than Oklahoma's. These services component of the economy has, for decades, been the fastest growing segment in the U.S. economy, and our tax code does not reflect that. If we don't adjust our tax structure to reflect the change in commerce, there will be increasing pressure to raise government revenue in less palatable ways. So this approach could help us solve this issue. It could also help us present an opportunity to reduce the state sales tax rate, which is currently the 6th highest in the nation. And for any mayors or city council people that may be out there, this will help your cities fund essential services like fire and police, and we're going to need your help to get it done. You're a former mayor. We all know that cities and states are losing out on the sales tax revenue each year as more business is conducted online. And states like Oklahoma can't collect sales tax because of federal inaction. So I'm proposing that we all need to call on Congress to level the playing field for small businesses and Oklahoma retailers by implementing a fair tax system for online sales tax. We have to help our local communities keep local businesses healthy and fund core services. Now, some of those are some of the reoccurring stable real revenues in my budget. I think these are good ideas that Oklahomans can support, and they will have bipartisan appeal. Democrats and Republicans will support most of them because we both want to fund core government services. Taxpayers will support them because they will expand the tax base so we can keep tax rates low now and maintain it in the future. And we can also maintain our competitiveness and help our businesses be more prosperous in our state. These proposed revenue streams will lay a solid foundation to enhance outcomes and elevate opportunities. And finally, it's important for future governors to have a better, more stable revenue streams than I did, or as policymakers have right now, so that the policymakers, the agencies, and the public aren't faced with constant revenue uncertainty. So that gets us to the expenditure side of my budget. As I said, we have to face the revenue reality. Most agency appropriations in this budget are reduced by 6%. However, the reductions are smaller for critical core service agencies, and the following agencies will receive a 3% reduction: the Department of Human Services, the Health Department, the Health Care Authority, Mental Health and Substance Abuse Services, the Department of Public Safety, and the Oklahoma School of Science and Math, and the Office of Juvenile Affairs. There are 3 targeted appropriation increases in this budget. Each is related to the 3 pillars of my administration in the second term. And as I shared in this speech last year, my top priorities for Oklahoma in this second term are going to be improving education,